happy. Oh, there you go. Wait, hold on. We're going again. I don't blame you. Hey, that's a lot of handsome. That's a lot of baller. That's a lot of me right there. Happy opening day. I was listening and watching Carton's show just now, and he asked a question. He said, which is, they're all awesome, which is your favorite? Opening day in baseball, first weekend in the NCAA tournament or championship, wild card, whatever weekend in the NFL. Interesting question. See, I look at it this way, and I know I'm wrong. Final Four weekend in college basketball is actually a letdown. I swear, I don't know why. Like, hey, look, today's Thursday. I'm used to 2 weeks ago sitting right over here all day, making money, eating food, watching games, and then last week, I think it was in the evening, eating food, watching games, blah, 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 blah. Now I got nothing on Thursday, except I do have the Cubs opening against the Brewers, and we're going to talk about it with Yankee great Jim Layritz coming up. We're also going to talk mock drafts with our friend Danny Z. I also heard this today, and I don't know where in the hell this comes from. Colts are out on Lamar Jackson. I didn't see this. I did not see this. I didn't see this anywhere, and I'm anxious to see it. I want to see it. I don't know where it is or where it isn't, but where is that? I have not seen that. Dying to see it. Colts have said, and I think this is a smokescreen, Jimmy Irsay has said, that we do not like, nor does he support, guaranteed contracts. Well, great. Good for you. You support overpaying. See left guard Quentin Nelson. See center Ryan Kelly. I get it. $25 million for Phillip Rivers, which actually was probably a pretty good deal at the time. But the truth of the matter is, I don't see the Colts being out on Lamar Jackson. I see the Colts doing what people are doing, probably kicking the tires, seeing what's going to transpire. All right, I'm going to get to all of that, but yesterday, and I hate this. I hate the politicalization of school shootings. I want solutions from serious people. I want people in our Congress that say, look, here is what we are going to do, and it's going to be bipartisan. Now, I understand it's easier said than done. I understand that, ladies and gentlemen, I live in a myopic world where I think leaders should lead. I took leadership very serious. It's why I was the only, at the time, me and Quinn Buckner, the only two-time captain at Indiana University under Bob Knight. I took leadership very serious. I still do. You know, we have a great environment on this show, and I live in frickin' Indy. Everybody else lives in Nashville, but they're such great people that lead. Dylan leads, Aaron leads, Ryan leads, and everybody's got their own job, and we lead. Take it very serious. Well, our lawmakers are clowns. Our lawmakers have absolutely embarrassed themselves, and they continue to embarrass themselves. And let me be very clear before I show you this video. I don't want my daughter having to have a handgun. I don't want my daughter being armed. My daughter's a fourth grade teacher in Nashville, Williamson County. I don't want her holding a gun, having one in her desk. That's not what she signed up for. It's not what she signed up for. So if that makes me less of a Republican, then so be it. We gave you our solutions. Bulletproof glass all over. The technology is there. They're using it already in Arkansas. Armed guards, instead of paying $1 bazillion to fund pensions for illegal immigrants, how about we take some of, if not all the money, and put guards in our schools, one in the front, one in the back. It ain't a perfect solution. It's hard to get crazy, but what we don't need is clowns. What we don't need is this right here.
Children at all. Cowards. Pressure them. Force them to respond to the question, why the hell won't you do anything to save America's children? And let them explain that all the way up until Election Day of 2024. Let them explain it all the way up to Election Day on 2024. They're freaking cowards. They're gutless. They're not here. I'm talking about gun violence.
You know, there's never been
I'm talking about gun violence.
in a school that allows teachers to carry.
Carry guns?
Would you
more guns lead to more death.
Would you co-sponsor
More guns lead to more death.
Would you
Look at the data. You're not looking at any data. You're carrying the water for the gun lobby. Look at the data. More guns lead to more deaths. States that have open carry laws have more deaths. States that have open carry laws have more deaths. Are you listening to what I'm saying? Calm down. Children are dying. 9-year-old children. Because the solution is not arming teachers. Have you ever worked in a school? 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 It's a yes or no question. Have you ever worked in a school? You will not answer my question. Don't stop and talk to me. Okay, I'll bring it down a notch.
All right, folks.
Have you ever worked in the school?
I've got a bill to repeal the federal.
I worked in the school for 20 years.
You're just screaming.
I was a teacher. I was screaming before you came and interrupted me. I worked in the school for 20 years. So I worked in the school 20 years.
In every school,
I was a teacher. I was a school counselor. I was a middle school principal. I was in cafeterias protecting kids every day of my career.
There's never been a shooting. Never been a shooting. It's time. Look, we've got guns here to protect us. And we believe the kids should have somebody to protect them. Every school that's allowed it has never had a shooting. Not even an accidental discharge at any of the schools. So. Yeah, absolutely. Next week, I'm reintroducing.
Yelling like an idiot, screaming profanity is going to fix it, huh? Standing outside. Now, this guy, Jamal Bowman, presides over the Bronx, northern Bronx, southern Westchester County, where there's a ton of murders, and he doesn't seem to care about that. But when the camera comes on and he gets to stand outside and yell and scream like a complete idiot, it was a bit of a, Kendrick Perkins type of display. I'm just going to yell until I just can't yell anymore. Now, Thomas Massey, the Republican, comes in. He's dumb for coming in. I mean, how stupid are you? You got a raging lunatic yelling and screaming, totally unhinged. You don't try to reason with him. You just walk by and let him act like an idiot. And that's exactly what this guy is. I mean, we need leadership in our country. We need real, serious people. We don't need people that know a camera's on them. Look, everywhere I go, I just assume a camera is on me. I just assume that somebody's filming it. This idiot went right out into the middle, outside the chambers, and started yelling like a goof. As Jason Whitlock said, so yelling and profanity is going to solve the issue, just screaming and yelling. You know what it does? It makes people have less respect for you. Now, I don't know whether Jamal Bowman is a respected member of Congress or just a clown. I don't know. I don't know whether Thomas Massey is, but Thomas Massey was stupid for engaging. I don't agree with either. Look, I don't agree that we all of a sudden decide only taking guns is the answer. I've told you my solution. I'll continue to tell you my solution. But my solution isn't to have an idiot standing there in Congress yelling, screaming, and grabbing a constituent. And my other solution isn't having the guy Massey come up and start trying to reason and yell at a screaming lunatic that is unhinged. It's embarrassing. It's the way the world works. And this is just what we do. But I've said forever, we need serious people. We need serious people. We don't need town criers. We don't need political points being made. We need serious people to have serious discussions and come up with bipartisan, serious answers to the problem of school shootings. And I'm going to give you the answers. Uno. One, in every community, find, get, hire. Again, you're going to have to need some money to do what I'm going to say, and take the money that we're giving to illegal frickin' immigrants, housing them in luxury hotels, paying their pensions, giving them money. Are you insane? Are you insane doing that? Take that money, fortify our schools. The technology is there. Well, the guy shot in the front door. Well, make it so that he, whatever the hell it was, can't shoot in the front door. Can't shoot in a window. Well, you're going to do that to every school? Yes, I am. I am. You won't notice no difference. It's like a car driving by in a presidential motorcade. You don't know which ones are bulletproof. You don't tell. I've kind of looked into this. It makes the school safe, number one. Number two, armed guard, front, back. Again, you're going to have to spend a little frickin' money. I don't know if you've ever talked to police officers, but I support the blue. I do. Sure, there's some mistakes, and we always got to say that. Like, that's the only occupation where guys make mistakes. You know the level of scumbag in the media? Don't even try it. But anyway, it's going to take some money, front and back. You hire, there's cops all over in every city that would love to do that, that would love retired, that would love to protect our children. ID, every entrance. Nobody in, nobody out. Period. Period. Fortify our classrooms. That's part of fortifying our school. Look, instead, we just yell and scream and come up with nothing. One group wants the guns. The other group says, well, then only the bad guys are going to have guns. One group says every gun's got to be gone. That's the only way to keep kids safe. The other group says, look, the only way to stop a bad guy is with bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. Hey, look, I'm not paid to come up with answers, but I'm also completely and totally involved in common sense. And my God, where is the common sense here? No, let's go out and scream, you idiots, in the middle of a hallway. I can hear it now. You're racist, Dakich. Shut up. Just shut up with that. I can hear it now. If you're going to go outside and scream in a hallway, then you know what? I don't know. Maybe, as Dave Carroll says, what is a very crucial part of finding a solution? How about listening? How about listening? How about saying, okay, and not being worried about your job or your little party? Dumbest thing I could think of is somebody being married to a party. Well, he's not really part of our party. So what? How about we listen and see what he or she has to say instead of going outside and yelling like an idiot? And then another guy matching up with you and he's yelling like an idiot. You had an idiot off. You did. You had an idiot off. The thing that idiots want to do when they're yelling and screaming outside is get other idiots to join them. Everybody knows that. And so this guy, Jamal Bowman, got every idiot to join him. And then, of course, you know what he does. He goes right to social media and he shows a picture of the other guy, Thomas Massey, and his family with guns. I say to Thomas Massey, good for you. It's the United States, baby, personal choice. And if Jamal Bowman doesn't like it, that's his personal choice. I respect that. But showing a picture, Jamal Bowman showing a picture of Thomas Massey's family with a gun makes me like Massey more. We got to protect our kids, man. We got to protect our teachers, too. I got a daughter that's a teacher. My mom and dad were both teachers. I want to protect our teachers, and I know right now it's not only from outside people coming in. It's from little jags in schools thinking that they can do whatever it is they want, and I go back to this. If I were in Congress, which I should go, I mean, I don't know what's wrong with me, I should. I tell you what I would fight for. I would fight for prayer back in schools. I would fight for that. We are a lawless society that has nothing going on other than what we see on social media and TV. We celebrate mental health. We celebrate transgender instead of celebrating our children. We look at Hollywood and all we got is crap. Just crap. It's amazing. I'm going to read you something real simple here that a guy posted to me this morning, and I got to tell you, he could not be more right. Hell, I've done so much posting this morning because when I get mad, I post. I can't find it. I had it here a minute ago. But honest to God, how about we put school? How about we put respect? How about we put discipline back in school? Well, you're not touching my kid. Good. Get your kid out of school. You're not spanking my kid. Good. Get your kid out of school. Don't let him come. Can you imagine? I mean, it would be unbelievable to me to see what Lee Ross or my first wife, the great Jackie White, would do if my kids came home and said, you know, Mom, Dad, somebody, they're trying to put me on puberty blockers because, you know, I'm an athlete. Could you imagine? There would be a string of dead bodies everywhere. There would be. Lee Ross, Jackie White, I mean, every strong woman that I know would be marching in there going, are you out of your fucking mind? I would love to see it. I wish my kids were groomer age and some little purple-haired teacher with a bedazzled phone and a fat ass tried to teach her about, well, you know, you play sports, so you must want to be a boy. Oh, my God. Would that be awesome? I would just sit back and watch the carnage as Lee Ross or Jackie White destroyed everything in that school. Groomers, my ass. How about we just protect kids? How many times do I got to say it on this show, you idiots? How many times? How many times do I have to say it on this show? We got to protect kids. We got to discipline kids. We got to educate kids. We got to quit exposing kids to crap, Hollywood garbage. You know, and the answer is this: when you go on Twitter, when you go on here and you see the response, the answer is, well, what about Marjorie Taylor? I don't care about Marjorie Taylor. I don't care about any of these idiots. Well, what about, I don't care. Well, what about, yeah, well, great. Honest to God. Well, great. Son of a biscuit maker. I mean, we can't protect our kids, and we got some clown out there in the middle of college. Shut up. Man, Dave Carroll's right. He's absolutely right. Hey, man, what is a very critical part of finding a solution? Listening. I agree with Mark Irvin. How long have we been pumping drugs into our kids and young adults? Americans have always had guns. Yet we didn't see all the shootings until recently. Democrats remove school prayer, sell smut, gangster culture in Hollywood, promote lonely social media, push race, class, gender warfare. It's destroying our society. He's right. He's absolutely right. But you know what? You're allowed to say it now. I give you permission to say it. Who cares if some slap calls you any kind of ist? Who cares? We're so far beyond all that now. Jesus. Some idiot just standing there in Congress yelling, and then a guy dumb enough, Thomas Massey, to come over and argue with him. Oh, jeez. Ish kabibble my head. Dan Dakich is on to his best show ever. Speaking the truth. Thank you, I am. Look, people ask me, tell me how to be a radio host. All right? You know what I tell them? Two things. One, dominate the mic. But you know what I really tell them? Learn to listen. Like when I do an interview, I don't ask long questions. Short questions, I listen to the answer and I respond. Listening, as Dave Carroll said, is huge. I can't sit there in Congress thinking this is my party, this is what we think, this is how we are, and I'm not. It's stupid. And yelling like an idiot Kendrick Perkins on our television or this guy Jamal Bowman is totally anti-getting solutions. You're not going to get a solution. It is anti-anything that is going to help a situation when somebody is just screaming like an idiot. Well, Dakich, you would say an idiot. Okay. Well, you're right. Yeah, Dakich, you're racist. Good. Call me whatever names you want. But it's time not to be scared about the crap. Well, you're an ish, you're phobic. So what? No, I'm not. I'm common sense. And so are most frickin' people that have common sense. They're common sense thinking people. Some idiot running around. Well, you know, you're a coward. Okay, great. Jesus. And these are the people we have leading us. Our frickin' president can't speak. Our frickin' president doesn't know where the hell he is. And these idiots in Congress just screaming and yelling because a camera's on them. I got a camera on me every day. Who cares? Jeez. I heard something today. Let me swing over because I got Danny Z and his mock drafts here. I heard something today. Don't buy it, Danny Z. Don't buy it. Don't buy it. I just saw on Carton's show, he said the Colts are out of the running for Lamar Jackson, and that affects mock drafts. Don't buy it. Not yet. Colts got to make a move. Colts got to do something. Don't be surprised if ultimately the Colts don't make an attempt. That you hear an attempt, Danny Z.
Yeah, I would be shocked if the Colts didn't make a play for Lamar. In fact, in my latest mock draft, that's what I have happening. I have the Colts getting Lamar and the Ravens taking that number 4 pick and then using it on Kentucky quarterback Will Levis. It doesn't make sense that the Colts wouldn't be interested. It defies all logic that the Colts wouldn't be interested.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you need a quarterback, all right, let me go this route with you, because I said this yesterday on another show. I said, you know what? It is very rare that a quarterback in his prime, now you may think Lamar Jackson has slipped, you may think he's not good. I don't know. I don't. I think he's great. But anyway, it is very rare that a guy in his prime becomes available. And unlike Deshaun Watson, you can tell me I'm wrong, the only baggage with Lamar Jackson, if it's even baggage, I don't consider it baggage, is he wants to be his own agent. And of course, you know, the injury part, but that's more part of football than actual personal baggage.
Yeah, I guess it depends how you look at sort of the social media stuff. Lamar likes to go on Twitter and air out the dirty laundry a bit. That could be seen as a little bit of a distraction. However, I would make the case that, as far as I can tell, players around the league get in more trouble for agreeing with Lamar than anything else. We had a new Dolphins signee taking a bunch of heat because he tweeted, "Come to Miami." So the players seem to like Lamar. I don't think it's a locker room distraction in the least. I mean, you could argue that as a GM, you don't want your franchise quarterback throwing all this stuff out there on Twitter for everyone to consume. But as far as I can tell, the players around the league seem to love the guy. So I don't think there's any issue from a team chemistry standpoint as far as, you know, baggage goes.
The reason I bring that up is because Chris Ballard, the GM of the Colts, is always talking about horseshoe guys. He just said the other day, you know, we had offers for Ryan Kelly and we had offers for Kenny Moore Jr., but they're such great Colt guys. I'm like, screw Colt guys. You're 4-13. I don't want to hear about Colt guys. I don't give a damn if you go to the pen and get some guys that can play. Screw horseshoe guys. Get me guys.
Well, the issue here is part of the hang up with Lamar, though. So I agree with you. That phrase should be turned into "these guys are winners," which of course they're not because they're 4-13. Lamar, the big debate rages about Lamar because his regular season record is ridiculous. He's like 75% win percentage in the regular season, but he has one playoff win, and he's played pretty poorly in the playoffs. So that's one of the big knocks against him right now is he hasn't performed in the playoffs. So is he a winner or not? Well, we don't really know, and that's kind of, I think, what's helping hold this up. But as I said on your show last time, man, like you're not going to convince me that 31 teams don't think they should go get Lamar Jackson. You'll never convince me that 31 GMs look at this guy, putting the Ravens aside, and say, no, we don't want that guy. There's just no way.
So what do you think it is?
That's the $1 million question, or the $250 million question right now. Is it, you know, is there a wink deal amongst the owners that, hey, you know, we're not giving these guaranteed contracts out. We're not allowing that to be a hang up. Lamar has said he doesn't want a guaranteed contract. It's possible, just reading between the lines a little bit, Lamar seemed upset that the Ravens offered him 3 guaranteed years and not 5. He wants 5. And that is a legitimate concern, I would think, for most teams, not wanting to sign Lamar Jackson to a 5-year deal that takes him into his 30s. Because I think everyone understands that, look, we can call it racism, like, oh, he's a black quarterback, so you think he's going to draw. Like, no, it's just the style of football that he plays. We've never seen a guy play that style of quarterback and be good, or not even quarterback. I mean, look at running backs, look at receivers, guys who overly rely on athleticism. That falls off quicker than someone like Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or these guys we've seen stick around because they rely on technique, they rely on awareness, instincts, all those other things. So I think there is a discrepancy here between Lamar wanting 5 years guaranteed versus 3, which to me is a legitimate. If I were a team, I would not want to give him 5 years. I just wouldn't do it.
I wouldn't either. Indianapolis, we are a little sheepish because Lamar Jackson's style is a bit reminiscent of Andrew Luck's style, and Andrew Luck, citing whatever lie Andrew Luck decided to cite, left football because of whatever lie Andrew Luck decided to cite. But so that does make folks a little sheepish. So let me go through this with you. Give me 1 through 5, your mock draft right now.
So I'm heavy on the quarterbacks. I think this is one of those drafts where teams are going to get desperate and they're going to make moves. I went quarterback 1 through 4. That might shock some people, but I've got Stroud going number 1 to the Panthers. The Vegas odds have him about 75%. I think I've said this on your show before too. Like, Stroud just seems safer. I'm not sure he is, but I think GMs think he is just because he's more prototypical. He's got the size. He looks more like a starting NFL quarterback. He's 6'3", hangs out in the pocket. I think Houston sprints to the podium with Bryce Young. They're happy to take him at 2. I don't think they have any reason to try and move up to make a move. They'll be good there. I have the Raiders trading into 3 to get Anthony Richardson. There's that joke that people used to always make, like, oh, who ran the fastest time at the 40? Because that's who the Raiders are going to take. Like, the Davis family loves speed. Richardson's got every bit of athleticism you want. So he just seems like a perfect fit for the Raiders. And then, like I said, I ultimately think the Colts do get Lamar Jackson. I think Irsay is going to get a little itchy and be like, look, we got to just bring this guy in. We got to pay him. Thus, I have the Ravens taking over that 4th pick from the Colts and drafting Will Levis. And then I have the Seahawks taking Will Anderson as the first non-quarterback off the board at number 5.
Does the Jalen Carter, a mess, I guess, post-championship mess with the speeding and whatever was involved there. I guess he pled no contest. Then his pro day was a bit of a train wreck. Does any of that really matter?
I think it does. I absolutely think it does. Initially, when I first started doing this, all the buzz I heard was like, this guy could be number 1, could be the number 1 pick. Like, that is off the table. I don't think he's going in the top 5 at this point. I've seen mocks with him going as low as like 20. I don't think so. With the ridiculous amount of pure talent that he has, again, teams can convince themselves. Kind of like a girl who convinces herself she can change the guy. Like, there's going to be, it's like, you know what? We could take that talent. Our coach can change him. We can turn him into what we need to turn him into. I still think he'll be a top 10 pick, but I definitely think the concerns are legitimate and the stock has slipped. I've got several defensive players going ahead of him. And in fact, I have the Lions at number 6, who I had mocked Carter to for quite some time because they did everything else in free agency. They went out and remade their secondary. They got Aiden Hutchinson with the number 2 overall pick last year. They need a guy in the middle like Jalen Carter, but I haven't taken Brian Bresee out of Clemson. I think that high, they want a safer pick. And right now I have Carter dropping 9th to the Bears. Wow. I go back, I remember we had Urban on before the national championship semifinal. He's like, look, this dude is dominant. This dude, you got to put 4 hands on him. But to your point, look, these things do matter. That's why they do them. They wouldn't do combines or they wouldn't do pro days if they didn't matter. Everybody says they don't matter. And I'm like, okay, why do you do them then? They don't matter insofar as I'm not sure how much your stock can improve, but it certainly can drop. And if you're getting winded through workouts and shorts and a t-shirt and stumbling around, and then you couple that on top of the legal issues, he came in heavier. Like, there are a lot of signs that when put together, again, everything in a vacuum, it's like, yeah, maybe it doesn't matter if you just look at it. But when you compile everything around Jalen Carter, there's just too many things piling up to ignore.
I agree. I do agree. Anthony Richardson, I want to go back to him. No, I don't. I want to go to Hendon Hooker. A lot of
do whatever you
in
want,
Indy that Hendon Hooker. I know it. I meant Hendon. A lot of talk in Indy about Hendon Hooker. He went to the Senior Bowl and was a leader. He was on the sideline of the Orange Bowl. Blah 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 blah. Where do you got him going?
I decided to have a little fun here. I started thinking about it because I'm like you. I've heard all the same buzz. I think he's getting some. I don't. Right now, I have the Rams trading into the first round to draft Hendon Hooker. I think he makes a lot of sense to the Rams. They've got Matthew Stafford for probably just one more year. He can sit for a year. He's a guy and I wrote the same thing about Anthony Richardson. I think it's going to be detrimental to Richardson to be drafted in the top 5 and have a team expect him to start from day one. He would be much better off sitting behind a veteran. I thought he made a lot of sense to Seattle at the time, sit behind Geno Smith for 1, maybe 2 years and learn. That's probably not going to happen for him, but it's possible that it could happen for Hooker if he goes somewhere like Los Angeles, where he could sit behind Stafford for a year. I think going into the McVay system would be great for him. I think that's the best possible landing spot. I mean, perhaps the Rams could they have the 6th pick in the 2nd round. They could stay there possibly and get him. But to be honest, I do these mock drafts partially for content. And I was like, I got to get Hooker into the 1st round. Let's have the Rams trade into the 1st round to go get him. I like the fit there. I don't know if they'll trade up to get him, but I like the fit a lot.
Yeah, a question becomes this. How good is he?
So I'm working on a longer form piece. And the theory is this, that drafting a quarterback, especially in the 1st round, is actually far safer than any other position. And I don't think people realize that. I saw tweets the other day that were like, oh, if you draft one of these guys in the top 5 and they don't work out, you set your franchise back 5 years. Well, that's not really true, because the cost of an average NFL quarterback relative to the salary cap, I mean, Kirk Cousins gets $30 million against the cap. And Kirk Cousins, I would argue, is basically the baseline average NFL quarterback. And that's where I would set the bar for baseline average. That's going to cost you $30 million. Well, based on the rookie wage cap, the most a rookie quarterback at any point in his deal is going to make in the first 5 years is $10 to $11 million against the cap. That's 1/3 the cost of an average NFL quarterback. You start looking at other positions and you go, well, if this guy's making $11 million by year 4, then he needs to be, at worst, he needs to be league average at his position. And at some positions that teams overdraft, like middle offensive line especially, the top of the position is making 16, 17 million bucks. You're making 70% of literally the best player at your position by year 4. So quarterbacks, even though there's this perception that, it sets your franchise back, I don't agree with that at all. In fact, I think it's quite safe to take a quarterback. And part of the reason I had the Rams jumping into the 1st round to get him is because if you take him in the 1st round, you now have opened the 5th-year option, which means you've got that player for 5 years you can evaluate and see what you have. Whereas if you take him in the 2nd round, the 5th-year option goes away. He's a free agent after year 4.
That is so well said, because I don't listen to people that just use those type cliches. Well, set your franchise back 5 years. Who determines 5 years? You know what I mean? Like, who determines that? That is really interesting to me, because I swear to God, I have said that not nearly with the depth that you said that, because okay, well, isn't it 3 years? Is it 4? Is it 2? Do you get to draft another one next year? I mean, stop. And the money's not bad. The Colts, this is the 5th-year option deal. People don't know this. The Colts and Ryan Grigson were so smart, they did not extend Andrew Luck until they had to in the 5th year. You know what I'm saying? Now the Colts did exactly what you're saying. They overpaid for a left guard, they overpaid for a center, and now they stink.
Yeah, so thank you for validating my thought, because this is something that's been rattling around for a while.
You don't need my validation, but that was just really good.
So edge rushers are another one that make a lot of, edge rushers. That's why a lot of them get drafted in the top 10, especially because the top edge rushers make $30 million, $31 million. Again, it's still lower than league average versus the top edge rusher, TJ Watt. Let's say it's TJ Watt for the sake of this. Gets about $31 million against the cap. That's the same as Kirk Cousins. TJ Watt's arguably the best at his position, and Kirk Cousins is average. Deshaun Watson's cap hits $54 million. So unless your quarterback that you draft in the top 10 is just awful, you're getting return on investment value-wise based just solely on the salary cap. Now, you could bring in other arguments like, well, who did you pass on in that spot? Okay, yes, it's a complex issue. Understood. However, I just want to dispel the notion that drafting a quarterback is this super risky decision, when actually it's the safest decision you can make in the top 10, which is why I have 4 of them going in the top 4.
Where can people find your stuff, Danny?
You can find me at OutKick Dan Z on Twitter, and you can just Google Dan Zakrzewski, learn how to spell it. It's on the screen there. It's right, which is great. Thank you to your producers for getting that right. Google that with OutKick, you'll find me. I'm easy to find.
I recommend Danny, OutKick Danny Z. Don't even try to spell the name. My listeners are not capable of that. That's a lot. Come on, that's asking, Danny. That's asking a lot, man. Come on.
Sorry.
You know,
it's early too.
it is. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. That's great stuff. That's great stuff. I mean, you just got great stuff here. The show just continues to dominate because what you just heard there is so freaking smart. Some idiot comes on TV. Well, it sets you back 5 years. Really? Okay. All right. All right. When we come back, I got a lot. Why is ESPN allowing, now think about this. Why are they allowing Bomani Jones and others to have these open dialogues on ESPN about Donald Trump when just a few years ago they silenced and demoted our friend Sage Steele? How about the girl from Memphis, the clown woman from Memphis that punched a Bowling Green girl getting charged? Good for Bowling Green. Got a lot to get to here. Be right back.
Brady recently retiring. Your locker was very close to Tom's locker, wasn't
right next
it?
to 12, yeah.
What was that like?
Man, it was cool, man. He's a funny dude, man. He's a nice guy. Joke with him every day. He's a good dude, man. He's probably one of the only dudes that I know that walk around in a bathrobe in the locker room, bro. So
you go up against him in practice all the time. Could you see that big jump coming from Daniel Jones going into this season?
Man, when I first played against Daniel, coming in last year and seeing him work, man, I knew, the talent that he had. It was just one of those things where, you always hear the saying, God's timing is always right. It was just one of those moments where you knew eventually it was going to click and everything was going to work out, not just for him, but for us as a team. And I'm just so happy for him.
Which video game are you most proud of making the cover for?
Oh, definitely Madden. Madden, yeah. Like I remember I come from a big family. My mom had 6 sisters and 1 brother and a lot of cousins, 30-some cousins. And, and I remember one of the younger ones was like, man, you're on Madden. You're really good. And I was like, I was the high school #1 player in the country.
Yeah.
I broke every record at Alabama, All-American. I get the pros. I'd won the MVP already.
Yeah.
Been in the Super Bowl, won the MVP. He's like, now because of man, now you're cool. I was like, oh, okay.
You had done a few things.
Yeah. Now I'm good. Okay, all right. Well, that's how it works in y'all's minds.
And I remember when I first started working in the morning news. Shout out to Drew Kaliski, super producer for NFL Today. He was just talking about season. How you feeling? You ready to go? Are you excited? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like awkwardly hesitating to ask me a question. And I'm like, what's up, man? Speak your piece. And he's like, do you know what's going on in the NFL? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, do you know who plays for what teams and who's been traded where? I'm like, yeah, bro, what do you think? I'm living under a rock? And this is my job. I'm studying just like anything else.
2.
I got questions, ladies and gentlemen, and I hope you got answers for me. The YouTube chat is bumping. All right, here's the deal. You ready? Let's get into some headlines. Last night, Anthony Davis, 39-10. All of a sudden now the Lakers feel like they are back in business. They've gotten back to 500, the Lakers, and I don't care, but I do like the playoffs. Patrick Reed and Bubba Watson, remember those two? They both are claiming that the media created all the drama between the PGA Tour and the LIV Golf Tour, and that behind closed doors everything is fine, which tells me this. Which tells me that Bubba Watson and Patrick Reed are liars, because not only have we seen it out in front of us, we haven't had the media or had to have the media tell us we've seen it. We've seen Patrick Reed go over and speak to the most, ladies and gentlemen. What's the right word? We've seen the media speak to the most. I got bad words today, but it is this. It is frickin' Rory McIlroy, who's been outspoken. We've seen Reed, we've seen him, and I don't care. I got to get to Sage Steele. But first, let me get to this. JAMIRAH, whatever the hell her name is, SHUTES. Memphis women's basketball idiot faces assault charge in Bowling Green, Ohio, my place, for punching a Bowling Green player in the handshake line. Now, this idiot right here had to be dragged away. Now, you know what's going to happen. There's going to be some kind of, she called me this. Yeah, okay, right. I was in a handshake line for however many years. Get out of there. Quit rubbing your butt on the grass or on the carpet. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope she gets charged, which she has. She's pled guilty. And I hope there is some repercussions. You know Memphis isn't going to do it. Memphis basketball, women's basketball, it's all a train wreck, and it has been for years. Years, ladies and gentlemen. But Memphis isn't smart. She pled not guilty. All right. Sage Steele. Sage Steele, let me ask you a question. Sage Steele gets suspended. Sage Steele gets suspended, and I'm going to read this to you, for comments that weren't even political. She was talking about her experiences as a biracial woman when others were comparing it to Obama, if you remember. It was her opinion that she spoke on the vaccine mandate. Her opinions don't fit the narrative. I ask why. Why? Why don't Sage Steele's opinions, her life, her story, her opinion, why don't they fit ESPN when a race-baiting, do-nothing, ratings complete disaster like Bomani Jones can say whatever in the hell they want? Anything they want. Bomani Jones on the ESPN platforms is talking about Donald Trump getting arrested. And you know Bomani Jones is all for it because that's what Bomani Jones would be for. Bomani Jones doesn't know the actual story. Nobody's going to tell Bomani Jones. But why is this? Sage Steele is, in my opinion, the most watchable person on ESPN. When I turn on ESPN, I turn it off more than I turn it on based on who is on it. Why is L. Duncan? Why is Ryan Clark's opinion more important than Sage Steele? Why? What happened to ESPN that they completely lost their mind? What happened to ESPN that they decided that when you're Kendrick Perkins or you're Matt Barnes, both of whom are on ESPN, you can MF, you can swear, you can do anything you want on social media. But Sage Steele gives her opinion on her life, her thoughts on a mandate, her thoughts as a biracial woman as compared to the Obamas, and this is somehow blown up. She gets, I don't know if she got demoted. I know she's being paid great, but all of a sudden she's not on an NBA countdown. Why? Does it not fit the narrative? Do they not like biracial women? Do they only want, quote, black women? Are they prejudiced against a conservative? Why? See, people question why I left ESPN. It's easy. It's idiotic there. Do you know how many people, how many guys call me, talk to me, and say, man, how do I get to OutKick? How can I get to OutKick? What? How do I do it? Where do I go? Women, too. Not Sage. She has a personal thing that she has to deal with that makes her stay at ESPN. But I don't think I've ever rooted for a lawsuit more in my life than Sage Steele to beat ESPN. Now, I love ESPN. Don't get me wrong. They paid for my kid's school. I was the best they had there, at least according to Norby Williamson, David Seisler, and Michael Schiffman, who run the thing. I was the best analyst they, quote, ever had at ESPN. But I couldn't wait to get out of there because I got to tell you, I'm not working with idiots. I'm not being put off of games because I'm white. And everybody knows, you should have heard when Schiffman called me when he found out I was leaving. I said, look, you guys, you don't like the fact that I'm a middle-aged white guy. You got enough of those guys and I'm too highly paid. No, that's not it. Okay. Then why were me and Scott Johnson taken off the ACC tournament? For two African-American guys, one of whom had never worked an ACC game in his life. Well, blah, blah, blah. I had heard, and I think this is true, that your bosses at ESPN got bonuses for removing white dudes and putting minorities in higher profile positions. And if you think that's great, fine. That's your prerogative. I respect everybody's thought on that. But for me, being affected by it, I'm like, yeah, this is crap. Because I'm better than all of you. So that's why I got the hell out of here. But anyway, so why is it, explain it to me, why is it that Sage Steele, a biracial woman who has carried herself with absolute dignity over the years, have you ever read about Sage Steele doing anything? Have you ever seen a tweet from Sage Steele with MFer in it, like you see from Kendrick Perkins, or smoking weed like you see from frickin' Matt Barnes, or acting like an idiot like you see from most guys on ESPN? Have you ever seen it? Of course not. Her father is one of the all-time legends at West Point, which means he's one of the all-time high-character men in this country. Have you ever seen anything out of race-baiting crap out of this guy right here? Bomani Jones, I guess he's not on the screen. Of course not. Why do you think Bomani Jones still has a job? Why do you think Bomani Jones is still a thing? Worst rated sports radio show they've ever had. Worst rated TV show. Does less on HBO, read Bobby Barak's column, than infomercials on kids' channels. Yet, Sage Steele has been basically crucified by this network. Crucified by this frickin' network. For being what? A biracial woman or a conservative or both? I look at Ryan Clark on that television once in a while. I'm like, this idiot actually said he was not going to work with Sage Steele because of her conservative views, and they've allowed it. Let me explain to you how many people would leave watching ESPN if Ryan Clark wasn't on it. Zip. Zip. You're exactly right, Van Pastor, man. You're exactly right. Exactly right. Sage Steele has been nothing but class. Nothing. Nothing. Dan, yet Stephen Holder, who works for ESPN, speaks about nothing for an hour a day on 107.5, nothing new or insightful, entertaining. Stephen Holder is a writer here at Indy. Stephen Holder has been a beat writer for the Colts for 10 years. 10 years, going on his 11th. Never broken a story. Not one. Never. Has written 0 things that anybody remembers. 0. Hired at ESPN. I don't know why. I don't know why. I just know that he has. It's amazing. It's amazing the world we live in. And then I see women. It's unbelievable. I see a woman like Sage Steele, and it just breaks it doesn't break my heart. It's just so asinine, so ridiculous, so incredibly racist, so incredibly biased that it makes you puke. Salute Sage Steele. Screw the rest of you. It's my take. Damian Lillard torched the NBA for becoming more titled and suggesting he might not play much longer. When I came into the league, you had to earn not just what you get from the team or the respect, you had to earn your space on the team. Yeah, all these guys in their 20s are trying so hard now. Have you seen the world that we live in now? Whoopi Goldberg actually stepped out against cancel culture. She's the #1 cancel culture-ish. Now this guy, Lillard, is acting like, man, when I came up, yeah, okay. When you came up, everybody was entitled. Everybody was like more into the show. Everybody's the same as they were now. Now, you want to go back 20, 30 years when guys had to bust it? I'll listen to you. But I ain't hearing, well, when I came up, yeah, all right. Yeah, really? Okay. Sure. Yeah, right. All right. Yeah, okay. Please. It's been entitled, it's been ridiculous, and it isn't getting any better. It's just getting worse. See Ennis Cantor Freedom if you really want to see what the hell's going on. So Damian Lillard, it's cute. You're doing what a lot of guys are trying to do. You've seen the world, you're seeing the future, you're seeing the woke crap, and you're trying to back yourself into an era that certainly hasn't been there since you've been playing basketball. A deal is in place. I like this. A deal is in place between the minor league players and the Major League Baseball first collective bargaining agreement. The deal is 5 years and includes at least 2 times the pay at all levels. Now, I have had many friends that played Major League Baseball, and minor league baseball, I got to tell you, minor league baseball has always been abusive. Minor league baseball has always been ridiculous. Minor league baseball, they agreed, will pay out nearly $90 million in first-year benefits to players. That's what the MLB is having to do. Increased pay, previous pay, $4,800 to $17,500 per year for players with no experience. It goes up to $19,800, $26,000, $30,000, and $35,000. In-season housing. See, they're going to do stuff with in-season housing. Smart. I mean, what the hell? Why was it always okay to abuse minor league players? Imagine you're playing minor league baseball and your salary is $4,000 a year. Doesn't even make any sense. It's below the poverty line. I'm going to ask Jim Layritz about it. Now, the one Jim Layritz, former Yankee star, I'm going to ask him about this because it doesn't make sense to me that this has been going on that long. It's just one of those things that has always been, and since it has always been, that's the way it always is. Stupid. Honest to God. How do you go along? How have you gone along with this forever? So $90 million is going to be earmarked back into the players. I guess the answer is, well, you don't have to do it. Well, okay, how are you making the majors? You know, in basketball, if you stay in the college ranks too long, you're considered damaged good, which is so incredibly stupid. But you're too old. I'm going to ask Jim Layritz about this. This, to me, seems like something that isn't only overdue. It is, as we would describe it, way freaking overdue. Imagine you're playing baseball, right? And all of a sudden, I don't know, you got 20, you're making $4,000 a year? Well, you're saying it's the summer? Okay, I bet you money based on traveling. Okay, you get $10 a day for per diem? Jeez. Anyway, they should have to pay $90 million. They should have to pay back pay. They should have to atone for their sins. Atone for your sins, people. Atonement shall happen. Atonement, ladies and gentlemen. Man, oh man. All right, couple of things as we move forward here today. Opening day is today. The Cubs are starting a guy that was 6-7, Marcus Stroman. The only Marcus Stroman is like an Indiana basketball player. Indiana basketball players come to Indiana, they get on social media. Hey, what's good, Bloomington? Hey, where are all my IU faithful? Shut up. Go to work. Marcus Stroman came to the Cubs. Hey, what's good, Chicago? You're going to hear a lot from me. You're going to hear all kinds. I'm going to be the guy that you follow on social media. Yeah, well, Marcus Stroman, you've sucked since you've been in Chicago. So now it's time to write that. It's time to get serious about your craft. That's what pro and college athletes are supposed to do. Get serious about your craft. I said it a long time ago and people got mad. I said this about a quarterback from Purdue with the Colts named Curtis Painter. He was a hanger-on quarterback. Had some talent, big, strong kid. Could throw it all right. Didn't have a terrible release. But he was one of these dudes that didn't know he was a quarterback in the NFL. Long stringy hair. I'm like, look, here's what you got to do. You got to cut your hair, get serious about your craft. People get so mad at that. Doesn't mean everybody. Look, we got a bunch of dudes playing college basketball. I swear to God, a couple of them, I'm like, is that a boy or a girl? I'm not kidding you either. Like, is that a dude or a lady? Baycott's one of them. When I first saw him this year, I'm like, wait a second. Swear to God. So I'm not saying everybody, but it don't hurt you. It don't hurt you to cut your hair and get serious about your craft. I shaved my head and got serious about OutKick. I did. I mean, look, I don't give a damn whether or not name a guy has long hair. I don't care. If you're great, you're great. But if you're struggling, cut your hair, get serious about your damn job, get off social media and get serious about your damn job. Marcus Stroman. Hi. Hey. What's good, Chicago? I don't know, man. Not you. Not you. Now, you can change all of that because, ladies and gentlemen, with me and the Cubs, it is about one thing and one thing only. Winning. Winning. I just got a text from Tucker Barnhart, catcher of the Cubs. I'd sent him a text earlier. He's ready to go. Gambling tip. My friends with the Cubs tell me this club is going to be much better than what people are anticipating. So do yourself a favor. Bet the Cubs over. That's right, I said it. Bet the Cubs over on wins this year. That may be my only baseball bet all year. Regular season wins. Chicago Cubs, I'm going to give them to you right now. 77.5. So if they win 78 out of 162, our toes are tapping. I'm betting it. I may bet more than I've ever bet. I need some interest. I need baseball to captivate me. It's going to today. I'm going to get all my stuff done. I'm going to turn on Marcus Stroman and see if for whatever millions they're paying him, see if he can get anything done. I'm bitter until they win, damn it. All right. Jim Layritz, World Series hero. Jim Layritz. I want to talk to him about opening day. How much fun is opening day for a player? Who's the most famous person he saw on opening day? I think Danny Plesac tells a story. I could be wrong about this, and this is how long Vanna White's been doing it. I think he walked up the stadium. I don't know what stadium he was in, and the first person he ran into as a rookie was like, whoa, that's Vanna White. On the field doing some promotion. Could be dead wrong about it. Dead wrong. I'm not sure, but I could be right about it too. Back in the day, I mean, Danny was probably 22 maybe when he came up, 23. You see Vanna White, you think you got a chance. Jim Layritz next.
Welcome into OutKick the show. I am Clay Travis, your fearless leader. I am going to continue to argue that sports is one of the great unifying forces in all of American life. ESPN is a sinking ship. Democrats are now the party of the white, woke college graduate.
So the higher that number can be, the better you are with the committee. It's really that simple.
You gotta lean into the turns. You really gotta lean into the turns.
He's got incredible taste in which media figures he listens to.
Very difficult to go back-to-back years in the NFL with the number 1 overall pick.
I've been out of LA long enough to have forgotten that libs, no matter how ridiculous the scenario, are gonna live. Another week of inflation, another week with Biden with COVID, and another set of losers to crown. People don't watch the WNBA on TV, in person, on a plane, on a train, on a bus, or on purpose.
The scary thing, Tommy, is in the history of this government, I've never seen them give anything back that they've taken.
Oh no, they never do.
And they won't.
Why are we going through Melania's goods? Don't make Brittany Griner out to be some type freedom fighter. Shouldn't there be a little bit of common sense? Let's roll them, big boy. What do you got?
They want to find someone to be the face of domestic terrorism, and they want it to be a right-wing Trump supporter. Don't let them entrap you into doing something dumb. But they were hyper-rational. They looked at the data, and they said it makes no sense for me to submit to this COVID shot mandate.
Get the shot or you can't go to your brother's wedding. Get the shot or you can't go to your daughter's graduation. Get the shot or else.
I love talking to champions. You know what I mean? Like dudes that have experienced things like national NCAA championships, World Series championships, Super Bowl championships. Jim Layritz was not only a champion, but he was a hero for the Yankees, which is basically the best thing, in my opinion, you could be, unless, of course, you're a hero for the Cubs, where I have my undying loyalty. Jim joins us now. All right, I just saw this. I had a number of friends play in the bigs and play in the minors, more in the minors, and the conditions that they always talked about were unbelievable. $90 million is now going to the minor league players. How overdue is this, or in your mind, is it not overdue?
It's way overdue. It's way overdue. I remember, when I was playing back in the day, we were making $700 a month, $800 a month, and only during the time that you're playing. So when you went home for the off season, you couldn't train, you couldn't get in shape, you couldn't come back from injuries or things like that because you had to work 2 jobs. I think it's a great opportunity for these kids to make a little bit more money, so when they come home in the off season, they can really, really concentrate on trying to make themselves better ball players.
Yeah, I mean, the conditions, right? Where did you live on that kind of money?
You had 5 roommates. You had 5 guys living in a 2-bedroom apartment. We would rotate 2 guys in a bedroom, and then 1 guy had a couch, and then the next month he'd get the shift. But because you had no money, you had to have 5 or 6 people living in a room.
Man, per diem was big, right? You had to have the per diem. Don't screw around with a per diem.
$8 a day for meal money. We didn't eat too much back in those days.
Oh man, and so, and all of a sudden, that movie Bull Durham, getting to the show, that's it, right? I mean, that's it. That's for a lot of reasons.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. I mean, like you said, one of those things. I feel sorry for the guys that actually play in the Florida State League, because when their first year in the minor leagues, they were playing in all the stadiums that the spring training is at. And then all of a sudden you get called up to AA, or you go get sent down to low A, and you're in these crazy podunk towns that, field conditions are not the same. And it's a lot difficult ride after single A.
Do you remember the day, the moment, the second they told you you're going to the bigs?
Yeah, June 4th, 1990. Yep, I got called into the office on June 3rd. At 1 o'clock in the morning, and Rick Downs, we had just played a doubleheader in Toledo, and Rick Downs called me and Alan Mills into his office and said, "I've never done this before, but guess what, guys? You're going to the big leagues." And Alan and I, we were in Toledo, Ohio. We had to drive to Columbus, get our stuff, and be on a plane that next morning to get to Baltimore to be with the team in Baltimore. But it was a pretty special feeling.
Yeah, you were playing with the Clippers, I suppose, right?
Yeah, the Columbus Clippers, exactly.
Yeah. Hey, Jim, Danny Plesac, who's now with Major League Baseball Network, and I grew up together. Danny played 19 years in the bigs, and I remember talking to him about his 3rd year in. I go, "What do you remember about your first opening day?" And he's like, "I'll tell you what I remember. I came up the stairs, and at the top of the stairs by the dugout was Vanna White." I go, "Holy crap, have I made it? Vanna White is right there, right?" I mean, what's your memory? What was your favorite opening day?
Well, my first one in Yankee Stadium was in 1992. In 1990, I got called up in June, didn't have opening day. 1991, we opened up in Detroit. And so my first official opening day in Yankee Stadium was 92, and man, it was special. It was the team had a lot of hope then after the bad 2 years that we had in 90, 91. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing like Yankee Stadium opening day. My most memorable one was 1996. We opened up against the Kansas City Royals, and I went 3 for 3 that day with 2 doubles and a couple RBIs. We won. But my biggest memory was standing on third base in the 8th inning, and Mariano Duncan was hitting, and I couldn't see him because it was snowing so hard. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Now imagine you're playing third base, right?
I was actually on third base, and Mariano was hitting.
Oh, other than being the pitcher, that's probably the most dangerous place on the field, right? Or maybe the catcher, but you're sitting there and you can't see the damn batter. Holy crap.
Yeah, and Mariano Duncan was the guy that he would hook a ball with the best of them. Yeah, it was a little scary.
I've always said this, and I'm curious, I'm a big Cub fan, and my whole life, I grew up Gary, Indiana. The Cubs were on every afternoon. I would run off the bus, hope they were in the 5th inning, not the 7th. Every game was afternoon. But I've always said this, and you lived it, so I'm curious. The Yankees were my dad's team. Mickey Mantle, Roger Maris, those guys. But then the Yankees weren't very good. George Steinbrenner comes in and realizes what he has and says, screw this, we're the Yankees. We're going to win. We're going to buy guys. We're going to do this. We're going to. I'm frustrated that the Cubs, as a big market, don't do the same thing. What was Steinbrenner, how was his drive, and how did it affect you guys in the clubhouse?
You know what? He was one of the greatest owners that I ever played for. And I loved him because he was a lot like my dad. He's like, listen, you need this. You tell me that you need this to win. I'll go get it. But guess what? You better win. He would pay you the best. He would expect the best. And I really thrived because my father was a lot like that. And George was kind of like my pseudo dad when I got to New York. But yeah, I mean, to have an owner that says, listen, guys, what do you need to win? I'll go get it. And just, you better make sure you win with it. And it was pretty special, the relationship I had with him.
Could you played a couple different places. Could you feel a difference playing with the Yankees for Steinbrenner?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially the first time I left New York and I played for the Angels, who at the time were just bought by Walt Disney and Disney World. And it was like a circus compared to playing in New York. I mean, they expected us on our off days to do clinics and to do all the, we're like, no, wait, our off day is our off day. We only get 12 of them a year. We're not going to spend our 12 days doing things for Disney. It was a little bit different there.
Yeah, I mean, all right, so now give me your impressions of where the Yankees are at.
Listen, I'm excited. I just got back to New York. I'm here all summer. I have an apartment for the season. Yankees are hiring me to do some work for them in the suites and some of the community relations stuff. But I look at this ball club and I say, listen, they're going to make the playoffs. No doubt about it. Can we put together a team that can put the ball in play, that can manufacture runs when it comes to the postseason? Because that's the one thing over the last 5-10 years we have not been able to do because we've been so strikeout prone. And we can't get into the playoffs and face the number 1 and number 2 starters for Houston especially and beat them. And I think that's the Achilles heel. I think they make the playoffs, but I do think with this ball club, if they stay healthy, with the lineup they have starting opening day, if that's in place at the end, this team has a great opportunity to maybe beat Houston for the first time.
I don't care how long it's been. Saying that the Yankees are playing Houston in the American League just does not sound right to me.
That is true. That is.
They're a National League team. I get it. It's been a long time. All right, Boston, New York. How real is the rivalry?
Well, it's huge. The rivalry is still the same as far as the fans go and everything else. Amongst the players, it's changed a little bit. Not because you got guys playing for the Yankees one year and go to the Red Sox the next year. I was a guy that thank God I got 1 year in between before I went to the Red Sox. But the passion, the fan base, the pressure's bigger in New York because of the media, but the way they both approach their baseball, both places were great to play. And of course, me growing up in Cincinnati, Ohio with the Big Red Machine back in the 70s, my biggest memory was Carlton Fisk, the series against the Red Sox and the Reds, and the home run. And that I was so excited to play my first game in Fenway because of my memories as a kid watching those series.
You know, it's funny you say that. My stepdaughter plays softball at Harvard, and we were just in Boston, and we had another couple, and we took them to, there's a bar inside Fenway, left center, I guess, and they open up the window, and you're basically on the field, right? There's a screen, but, you know, we were getting hit by water from the and two guys, we're sitting there, we're having a beer, and two guys, older guys, kind of to our right, were talking about where they were when Fisk did what Fisk did. They're like, it was Sunday afternoon, 1,000 years later, and these two guys right here are legitimately talking about it, Jim.
Yeah, you know, that's the cool thing. And, you know, that's the one thing I got blessed with the 96 home run, that everybody that was a Yankee fan remembers where they were, what they were doing at that time. And again, for a guy from Cincinnati, Ohio, who never got drafted, who never was an everyday player, to have that kind of moment in Yankee history, I'm very blessed to have that moment.
Do you remember running the bases on that home run? I remember it. Did you remember running?
You know, I remember running it only because I hit the one in 95 in the playoffs against Seattle, and it was a walk-off in Yankee Stadium and put us up 2-0. But we ended up losing that series. And when we lost the series, the home run became a footnote. All I could think about was, if we don't win, because the home run 96 just tied the game. If we don't win, this is going to be a footnote again. And thank God we won that game. We went on to win the championship. And that 96 team started that dynasty, because had they not won in 96, had they lost like they did in 97, George Steinbrenner was going to fire Joe Torre. He was going to get rid of Mariano Rivera, and there would have never been the dynasty of the New York Yankees of the late 90s. Think about that. That was why that 96 team was so important to Yankee history.
What was his problem with Mariano Rivera?
Well, Mariano took over as the closer in 97, and he struggled. And then he gave up the home run to Alomar to knock him out of the playoffs. And so the story Gene Michael told me was, George comes into his office, because Gene was his right-hand guy, and said, get rid of Torre, get rid of Mariano Rivera. I'm done. We're starting over. And Gene Michael said, George, hold on a second. Did you forget about last year? And George said, I'll give him one more year, and that's it. And, of course, the 98 magical season that they had solidified Torre's spot, solidified Mariano. And it's all because that 96 team won.
And because Gene Michael stood up to the boss.
Well, exactly. You know, George really, really respected Stick and really took his advice, knowing that he was more level-headed than George. But George had that passion, man, and there was nothing like it.
Pitch clock in baseball, it saved 26 minutes off the game. Where are you at with that?
Hey, listen, I wish people would just say, listen, you're going to a baseball game. You're going to spend 3.5 hours. Enjoy your time. You know, sit back and relax and enjoy the game. I get it. I understand that, you know, they want to try to do something to keep the younger crowd who has a shorter attention span into the game. But I do think that they're going to have to tweak it a little bit. I think maybe you go to 30 seconds, you know, and maybe, you know, give each other, because the one thing I think it's unfair to both the hitter and the pitcher is when you're out there in the middle of the summer and you're sweating and you're dripping, there are certain times that sweat goes into your eye and you can't see and you got to back out. And if you do that, now you're going to get penalized. Or if you're a pitcher and you've given up 3 or 4 hits as a catcher, I'm coming out to talk to you to give you a breath. I can't do that anymore. So I think it's kind of unfair to both the hitter and the pitcher to do this. So you know what? Let's extend it maybe 30 seconds to give these guys some time to get themselves together a little bit more.
Do you think Rob Dibble, whenever he comes on our show, he just goes off on Rob Manfred? I mean, he goes bat blank crazy. Is Manfred good for baseball?
You know what? I'm one that kind of always tries to stay neutral, but what I've seen and what's been happening with the sabermetric systems becoming everything and the way the game has changed, again, I'm still going to be labeled old school because I do think things have changed, not for the better of the game. It's made the game a lot more questionable for guys like myself and guys like Dibbs that, you know what, we had a passion to play this game, not to be a robot and be controlled by all these other things that they're doing now in the game. And it's a shame, but listen, you got to kind of roll with the tide. And I do think it's changing. I do think every time Rob Manfred puts a new thing in, it hurts the game and it makes them look bad. So I think things are going to probably hopefully go back in the next 5 years, a little more the way baseball used to be played. But listen, it remains to be seen, and this is something that we're going to deal with the whole season again.
You know, Jim, I have no problem with sabermetrics or any of it. In fact, I used them coaching basketball before really anybody did when I was a college coach. But I'm tired of hearing about them on broadcasts. You know what I mean? I just it's like, you know, it's like, look, I couldn't get through algebra or geometry. I don't give a rat's ass about all that. You know, I don't know. I know that's old school and stupid, but I just don't. And I think more fans are starting not to.
Well, here's the thing. This is the one thing that sabermetrics doesn't take into consideration. Baseball is not like football. It's not like hockey. It's not like basketball. We play 162 games in 180-something days. We have to do this day in and day out. There's not time to go back and look at all of the numbers and all the things and put a game plan together like you can in basketball, in baseball, in football. So baseball is a game that's played more by the heart, more by the feeling, the emotion. And that's what sabermetrics doesn't take into account. It can tell you, yeah, if you do it this way, you might have more success over a 162-game season. But it doesn't tell you, hey, when you get down to nitty gritty, when you get time, a guy on second and third and nobody out, and you got to get a run in to win, it doesn't take those emotions into consideration. And I think that's where they're really missing out. And everything that they're doing to the game is trying to make the sabermetrics work in their favor. And I don't think that's right.
I always said this, and it's a thrill for me to talk to you. I think it's the second time you've been on the show because I always said, man, you can't put a sabermetric on what Scott Brocious did or what Jim Layritz did in the clutch, in the biggest moments, on the biggest stage, against the best. You can just sabermetric this is what I always say about you and Brocious playing where you played, in front of who you played, in the moments that you played, and how you came through. I've always said that.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I had a meeting with some of the sabermetric guys at one point. I'm not going to mention the team, but I gave them my statistics in September. I gave them A-Rod's statistics in September. And I said, tell me which one of these players you would have played. And of course, they're like, oh, I would have played this guy. They didn't know who the players were. I would have played this guy. This guy I would have never, ever put in the lineup in the postseason. And that was me. And I said, can you imagine had the Yankees and the Padres never played Jim Layritz in a postseason? You wouldn't have the history that you have now. Sabermetrics doesn't take the emotion. The guys like myself that thrive in pressure situations. Actually, it was kind of boring during the season to play. I wanted those big moments. I wanted to come up, with a guy on base. And that's why Buck Showalter used to say to me all the time, Jimmy, you're better off on my bench coming in late in the game when I know it's a crucial situation that I need something to do because you will be more successful than most of the players I have on my bench. That was a compliment. Didn't always like it because I wanted to play every day, but that was kind of my mindset. And I don't think that's what sabermetrics can tell you.
I agree. No, I totally agree because some guys elevate when they come to New York and some guys wilt when they come to New York with the Yankees. Just the way it is.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that's, I'm interested to see this Volpe kid and how he handles the pressure,
Hey, last thing before I let you go. Are you surprised? I mean, you know him, I don't. Derek Jeter's always been a private guy. Now all of a sudden Derek Jeter is like Joe DiMaggio selling Mr. Coffee, for crying out loud. The dude is everywhere. I mean, are you surprised at this kind of coming out public party for Derek Jeter?
You know what? I think maybe when you go home and you have to deal with 3 women, you might need to get out of the house a little bit more.
Yeah.
No, you're home for a while. The last couple of years have been great, but guess what, guys? I need to get out of the house once in a while. And now, you know what? It's great for the game. And I mean, Derek Jeter was such a great ambassador of the game of baseball. And for him to be in a role now that's not ownership, that now he's tied to one team, that now he can be a little bit more personable and do things. I think it's a great move by Fox. I'll be curious to see how good of an announcer he is or analyst he is. But I do think for the game of baseball to have Derek Jeter around, it is good because he was so great during his time as a player, as a representative to Major League Baseball.
Yeah, it's funny. When I got remarried, I had my daughter, my stepdaughter, and my wife at home. And I'm like, hey, I told my wife, I got to go talk to a guy. I got to go have a beer. And she's like, go. I don't blame you. Go.
Yeah, no, that's it. I'm excited. I think it's going to be a great year.
Yeah.
I'm really excited right now because I'm in New York. I'll be here all summer. I think we got the Yankees. We got the Mets, who, Mr. Steinbrenner too is over there spending money to get that team going. And now we have the Knicks, we have the Nets, and we have the Rangers in the playoffs for hockey and basketball. It's an exciting time. Oh, the Devils too. I forgot the Devils there in New Jersey. But it's an exciting time to be here in New York and a sports fan. I am so excited for the next month and a half to see what happens here in New York.
Yeah, it's going to be good. Jim, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful summer, and that was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Anytime, man. Thanks for having me.
Hey, if you don't know Jim Layritz, look it up, man. That dude would come in the clutch with the Yankees. I mean, the clutch. I'm telling you. I was a Yankees fan because of my dad, and I always respected George Steinbrenner, and I love watching playoff games in New York, the Cubs or Wrigley or Boston. And I'm telling you, man, Scott Brocious, Jim Layritz, they would just get it done. I don't know who the modern day guy is. That Turner guy, the red beard dude, who I think just went to the command or wherever the hell. I think he went to Washington from L.A. That dude, Trey Turner, the other guy's Trey Turner. Who's the third baseman? Justin Turner. That dude was like up every summer or every fall coming up with big hits. I don't know about you guys, but I dig that. That's what I dig, man. I dig that big time. That, to me, Jim Layritz is a bad, bad boy. And opening day starts today. And I, ladies and gentlemen, can absolutely, positively not wait. I can't wait. All right. When we come back, we got the Damn Awards. Don't at me. See what we do there? It's pretty clever. All right, it's pretty clever. A lot of you are disagreeing. If you're disagreeing with me on the Cubs, if you're disagreeing with me on Lamar Jackson and the Colts, show me where the Colts have been out of the Lamar Jackson sweepstakes. The only thing that I have seen is Jim Irsay saying, hey, hold on here. We don't like guaranteed contract. I didn't see where he said we are absolutely not giving guaranteed contracts. What have I told you all for years and years and years on literally every show that I do? There's always a backstory. There isn't sometimes a backstory. There is always, and I mean always, a backstory. Always. Every dime. Every day. So Jim Irsay coming out and saying that, he didn't all of a sudden just pop into his head and say, hey, look, I think that I'll just come out and say I don't like guaranteed contracts. He didn't say I'm not giving them. He didn't say, at least to me, now again, I'm on the YouTube chat and other places, so I'll listen to you, but I didn't see anywhere where he said, hey, look, we ain't doing it. I heard earlier today on one of these shows here, I think Craig Carton's show, The Culture Out, I didn't see that. Yes, it is a Just Add Water shirt. If you're looking for boats, go see my guy. Yeah, he gave me a shirt, and you got to understand something about me and shirts. I am a fabricophobe. When I go get a XX shirt, I go like this. If it just goes to here, I don't buy it. If it goes out here, I buy it. This shirt, while I'm not sure it is the most handsome on television, it's not terrible, but it fits me so good. It's so comfortable. And I love my guy, Keith Hockett at Just Add Water Boats. I do. Go get a boat. If you're looking for a boat, he's got boats in stock. I'm just saying. Dan, there are no guarantees in life. Look at Rick. All right, Rick. You folks with the YouTube chat that are Colts fans, you all want, I'm a fabricophobe. I am. My whole life, I couldn't wear anything with cotton. I don't know. Don't ask me. It's a burden. It's a true burden, but I am. I am a fabricophobe. Like, there are so many clothes that I used to give away at Emmis just because, and they're beautiful. Some I didn't even take, but BSN Sports would send me T-shirts, and I would go like this, and if they didn't stretch or they had that funky kind of dry fit material, I gave them away. It's hard. You guys think it's easy? See this? It's hard. Fabricophobe, one who fears fabric. Oh, man. I don't fear it, I guess. I just can't wear it. Like, my daughter makes fun of me. Hey, Dad, I was watching your show. I saw your red Indiana Hoosiers T-shirt. In fact, my Indiana Hoosiers T-shirt had its own Twitter handle. Dakich's T-shirt. Well, why do you wear that? Because it's comfortable. I got like 5 of them from Rusty Stillions, the equipment guy in Indiana, because it's comfortable. Jennifer, it is hard. You guys think it's easy with this brain? You think so? It's freaking hard. It's really hard. Holy crap. Yeah, Eastern Europeans prefer wool. I won't wear wool or anything. In fact, right now, I won't wear pants. If I showed you what I'm wearing right now, see these? These are a combination, like, I don't know, sweatpants, night pants. And I wear them all day. I wear them to walk the dog. I wear them to the gym because they don't itch. My legs itch. It's hard. Dan is a fabricist. Yes. Yes, I am a fabricist. Yes, I'm a fabric diva, Jennifer. I'm a fashion diva. But this shirt and this company is great. Now, if this was a crap company, I would not wear it. I wouldn't. I only put on my body, on television, what I use, and I go to Just Add Water Boats, and I get stuff. Scandalous Dad showing some leg. Yeah. This show's R-rated, baby. Hey, by the way, I watched Casablanca last night for the first time. I got to tell you about it. If you like what you see. Yeah, you got to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Yeah, subscribe. Ring the bell. I didn't know about that. I do now. We'll be right back.
How hard is it to repeat? I have no idea. Never did it. I would argue that it's probably, I would say without a doubt, probably the hardest sport to repeat in. Even though, I mean, you look at the Braves in the 90s, who won, what did they win? 15, 16 straight division titles, one World Series. The Indians in the late 90s should have had multiples. To me, that's what makes the Yankee thing so amazing. That 97, 98, 99 run, or 98, 99, 2000 run is incomprehensible to me as a player. I played in 4 World Series, blessed to play in 4 of them. 1993, then 8 years later, then 3 years later, then 3 years later. No team that I was ever on come late May had a in my opinion, we did. Arizona, we got hurt late. Gonzo went down late in the year, and RJ and I were hurt on and off during the season. Or no, 02. We had a good series, but Gonzo got hurt late in the year in the postseason. In 04, we got to the playoffs, or 05, we got to the playoffs, and the White Sox won it that year. We had to play through the end of the season to get in. I remember pitching that last day against the Indians, or against the Yankees, with the Indians needing a win or a loss. But we ended up getting swept by the White Sox in the series. I never got the pitch in, but I can't imagine it. It takes an enormous amount of talent, but probably twice as much luck to avoid injuries and stupid stuff. In the middle of a pennant race and your best player gets brought up on charges of sexual assault, stuff like that. Which in today's day and age, now it's gone to in the middle of a pennant run and your shortstop says something on Twitter and is immediately throttled by the cancel culture. And unfortunately, those are the things. Those are going to happen. And surprisingly, still players are getting caught doing PEDs, which blows me away that people are that stupid. But yeah, if you can avoid that stuff for year after year after year, and these are 9-month seasons, guys. This goes from February to late October if you're a winner. That's amazing to avoid that in a year, much less 2, 3, 4 years. So yeah, really, really hard.
Hey, I watched Casablanca last night. I don't know if you've ever seen Casablanca. Man, is it old. Holy nutsack. Humphrey Bogart was tremendous, and the girl was hot. Woo, was she hot. In fact, if you're going to get involved in the World War II, you might as well get involved over whoever that actress was. I know you guys know. By the way, Lee is out of town. She has stayed in Boston for the week because Tegan was supposed to play tomorrow and on Tuesday and then has a game this weekend. I need an old movie. Yeah, Ingrid Bergman. Woo! Wow, Ingrid Bergman. She'll make you put back stuff you never stole right there. Man. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm like, hey, Ingrid, baby. I mean, smoking. Wow. And with modern type surgeries that they do, she would have, anyway, I'm getting a little sexist here, but Ingrid Bergman. Wow. And the truth of the matter is, Humphrey Bogart in that was kind of a little whiny batch, wasn't he? Sitting there getting drunk because the woman left him. The woman came to tell him why she left him, and he's sitting there getting hammered, acting like a little batch. Don't ever act like a batch. Sack the hell up, walk like a man. Women don't like guys that act like little batches. You know what I mean? Guys are saying Full Metal Jacket, The Great Outdoors. I need the Public Enemy. I'm just saying this. I need an old movie. I watched one of those Sherlock Holmes or one of those other ones. I forget what it was, but it was pretty good too. I just need old movies. I kind of like them. I'm kind of into them. I tell you what I'm into. Lee Ross told me this, my wife. Told me this a while back. You should identify as a woman. If you identified as a woman, every network in America would hire you. Look, as a 50 or 60-year-old white guy, every network in America, they don't like me. Too big a mouth, too much trouble on social media, all that kind of happy horse bleep. So here's what happened. A male power lifter decided that he was going to make fun of the idea that men aren't stronger than women. So a powerlifter broke women's records held by a biological male in protest of transgender policy. So this guy, he's a powerlifting coach. His name is Avi Silverberg. He had seen enough of biological males competing against women. He decided to protest new trans policies ruining his sport. So he self-identified. This is freaking awesome. He self-identified as a woman and shattered a record during a recent meet. The women's bench press title holder in the 84-plus kilogram category is some clown named Ann Andrus, who is a biological dude. Andrus, the biological dude, has won 8 of the 9 competitions he has entered as a woman and is recognized as a female on the open powerlifting ranking site. Well, Andrus was there at the Heroes Classic powerlifting meet. He got to see Silverberg just obliterated it. He broke Andrus' record, Silverberg. He didn't break any rules, which is insane to me. How could he not break any rules? He just simply announced that he self-identified as a woman, which in the Canadian Powerlifting Union, the CPU, by the way, says you can do. The trans inclusion policy, which is so ridiculous, was officially released, and it stated that if a man says they're a woman, then anything goes. Based on this background and available evidence, the expert working group felt that trans athletes should be able to participate in the gender with which they identify, regardless of whether or not they have undergone hormone therapy, which literally means what my wife, Lee Ross, has been saying, and that is you can simply identify as a woman if you are a man, if you have a penis, if you have scrotum, testicles, the whole thing, and have not gone under any hormone therapy. So this guy says, screw you, I am just going to make fun of you and kick all of your asses and break all of your records. How ridiculous. That on the screen is a lady. Oh, man. Come on, people. Come on. The Otter Creek says, I want Joel Embiid to go trans and dunk over all the WNBA players. One of our leaders is Jason Whitlock, and Jason Whitlock has said, hey, look, LeBron James identifying as a woman would dominate the WNBA. Oh, man, is there anything better? Seriously, is there anything better than the stupidity we got going on right now in our nation? There is nothing better. You can go whatever direction you want, but there's nothing better than this stupidity. All right, I like this. Kim English, who just became the Providence head coach, challenged a freshman on his team, Jaden Pierre, to a game of one-on-one. If English won, Pierre had to take his name out of the portal. If Pierre won, he's free to leave. Let's roll the tape.
He was
very
comfortable. Do whatever he wanted.
Very comfortable.
He missed a lot of shots.
I won.
He missed a lot of shots.
I won. Tell him, who won?
First of all,
who won?
You called 4 dribbles when I went and dunked on you.
Did you dunk it?
I went and dunked the ball, and he called 4 dribbles.
It's a 3 dribble limit.
1 dribble hezzy, 2 dribbles to the rim.
It's Jersey legend. Look at my man, Jersey legend, bro.
That's real. That's real.
Look, 620 in here.
Real. 620 in here.
All I'm saying is, Fire Nation, we came in the gym on a late night. He was hooping. I said, play me one-on-one to get up out the portal. We played one-on-one.
Hey, I'm going to say this.
What did he say at the end? I'm going to stay here. That's pretty good. I mean, it's the modern way of college basketball, right? You got to do stupid things. You got to act like a fool to keep players there. But, hey, good for Kim English. He's establishing himself as a player's guy, and that's the most important thing, that you can establish yourself in the modern world of college basketball, and I like it. Michael Jordan and Isaiah Thomas continue to go back and forth. Isaiah appeared on a recent issue of All the Smoke, where Matt Barnes smokes weed and goes on ESPN. He challenged Michael Jordan for calling him an a-hole during an episode of the widely popular Jordan documentary, The Last Dance. I would never apologize for calling anybody an a-hole unless I meant it. Meaning, well, no, not I meant it, unless I legitimately felt bad about it. If I felt legitimately bad about it, I might reach out. And I would never call for anybody to apologize. Every day of my life, because of my immense popularity, I got all these little basketball guys, Jeff Goodman, Little dangerous Division III Robbie Doster. They're all mad at me because Goodman was so bad on a broadcast that I had to make fun of him on the broadcast. And I told him after, look, we're here not to do Jeff Goodman's stupid stuff. And ESPN agreed they got rid of Goodman. They had to. He was horrible. But every day they're on my ass. I don't want them to apologize. I just want them not to be cowards. I mean, that's it. Michael Jordan's a coward for doing what he did to Isaiah Thomas. You want to call somebody a blank, do it to their face. And maybe he has. But Michael Jordan's one of those guys whose secrecy aids him, right? He's above the media. The media is never going to get on board with this. But you call some guy a blank on a documentary. If I'm Isaiah's dealt with tougher things than that. Isaiah is, frankly, one of the toughest human beings to ever play basketball or any sport. And Michael doesn't want any of the smoke, none of it, with Isaiah Thomas. But if you're going to do that and a guy doesn't like what you did and he's being fairly respectful, which is what Isaiah is, I think you have an obligation to at least walk like a man. So many dudes don't want to walk like a man. Just don't be a coward. That's all I'm saying. Just don't be a coward. That's it. It's not that hard. Don't be a coward. I like Isaiah. Taylor Lorenz is among the worst people in the country. Those of you that don't know her, she is a Washington Post writer. She is the woman in the middle that's looking so creepy, bending her left knee, and she's doing it without wearing a mask, which in of itself would not be a big deal. But this clown, this woke millennial little pain in the ass, has ambushed people, has tried to destroy people, has tried to cancel people for not wearing a mask. She is legitimately the worst human being in media. Now, I didn't say the worst human being alive because that it would be Violent Crime Division. I contend the worst person that I ever met was a guy named Jeffrey Beering who lived behind my house who murdered a little girl, stabbing her 33 times with a screwdriver. I always go Nonviolent Crime Division. The worst person that I know, Business Division, is Coach Knight's son. We call him Fat Timmy. Fat Timmy Knight would cheat you, steal from you, do everything, to the point where we had the Attorney General in the state of Indiana show up in our office because Timmy was cheating so many people out of a camp buy. We had a big basketball camp. Fat Timmy was not providing shoes and a T-shirt, which people paid for. It got to the point with very serious guys, very, very serious guys, came into our office wanting answers. And Bob Knight, I think, crapped himself, and I think Timmy crapped on Bob Knight's crap. He's the worst human being I know business-wise. But Taylor Lorenz may surpass Greg Doyle as the worst human being I know media-wise. Look at how creepy she is. She's literally the one in the middle. Like, just a creep. And by the way, Taylor Lorenz, you're not very inclusive as I look at your little dinner party and it's all white people. Is that Kathy Griffin, America's biggest hater? No, stop it. Taylor Lorenz is America's worst human being. I believe America's worst media person. I think. All right, let's put it out there. Who is a worse media person than Taylor Lorenz? Is there anyone? I don't know. I look at if you are a fraud, if you are a liar, if you are evil, Taylor Lorenz is the worst. Media division category. All right, what else we got here? Since Kyle, why do I have to be the one to explain this? Why do I have to be the one to explain that Kyrie Irving is an absolute team killer? Kyrie Irving was not a team killer, and then guess what happened? What happened to Kyrie Irving is what happens to a lot of guys. He became really important. He became somebody that decided, I'm going to use my platform for stuff outside of basketball, and he's an idiot. He's really stupid. Like, he's not. He's smart. But when you see him, he's really stupid. When you listen to him, he's a very articulate, smart guy that just says stupid stuff. And now he's become a thing. He's no longer a guy that, frankly, is a basketball player trying to win. He's become a thing. Like Draymond Green has become a thing. But Draymond Green doesn't matter on the Warriors because the Warriors are going to sink and swim with their role players and Curry and Thompson. But this guy is a focal point on a team, and he destroys teams. So he said his team is a cluster F. Well, guess what? Most teams, let's go back, that you have come to have become cluster Fs. So it's no surprise that the latest team you came to becomes a cluster F. The big surprise is that Mark Cuban wasn't smart enough to understand that. Look, the NBA is not in a bubble. The NBA is not just, well, this guy's over here, so we don't know anything about him. Everybody in the NBA knows that there is nobody worse to have on your team right now than Kyrie Irving. Don't go back to Cleveland when he was fine. Boston, you couldn't guard him in the playoffs. At least we couldn't here in Indiana. I'm talking about now. Kyrie Irving, a guy that famously, we don't need a coach. Really? How'd that work out in Brooklyn? Well, it was Nash's fault. Of course it was Nash's fault. Nothing to do with Kyrie Irving. That blank show fell apart, and now he's trying to destroy another franchise. That's not Kyrie Irving's fault. That's Mark Cuban's fault. Has nothing to do with Irving. Irving is who he is. Irving's who, Paul George did the same thing. Paul George, terrific as a young up-and-coming player. And then Paul George became a thing. So what Paul George do? Started stooping strippers. Started being a guy. Started being someone that actually, with his Fresno State 3-year education, he thought we were all supposed to listen to. Not listening to Paul George about anything. I'm not listening to him about basketball. Went from a nice kid, sat next to me for 3 hours hosting a show with me when he first came up. Paul George then became a thing. Who wants to listen to Paul George about anything? Anything. I don't. Maybe fishing. People loved him in fishing. People thought he was great fishing. Apparently, he lives right out here. His house wasn't like crazy nice. It was nice enough. And he, you know what? Seemed like a great guy, but I don't want to listen to Paul George about anything. NBA players continue to show that they're absolute weenies, whether it's Paul George, Kyrie Irving, or now Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook got booed after kicking a fan out who was being mean to me. The fashionista. That fan be mean to me. He mean to me. Get him out. I actually got in a bit of a hassle one time with George Hill. I did. I got in a hassle one time with George Hill. George Hill's, I would criticize him because I thought George Hill was just a guy. He started yelling at me. About he was on the bench, and I said, hey, fuck you, People got a little excited. I probably shouldn't have responded, but I'm going to sit there and listen to some idiot basketball player or athlete. Screw that. They'd be me. Now they would kick me out and lock me up. I really didn't even say anything. I just said, oh, and then I went about my business. George Hill. So Russ, he of West Brick, gets a fan kicked out because, well, Russell Westbrook is a fake tough guy that can't play anymore, and he's trying, and I mean hoping against hope, that people pay attention to me. All right. I can't wait to see this. The smartest thing that we've done on this show is go woke-a-dope dude. 2 woke-a-dopes has been stellar. All right, boys. We got Ryan, we got Dylan. More like Russell Westbrook. You guys are on one today. I like it. Please feel free. Yeah. Yeah, man. I got to tell you, it's interesting. It's very interesting. I don't want my daughter, who is a 4th grade teacher, I've talked about a lot, I don't want her handling a gun. I don't want her to have a gun in her drawer, and I don't want to have her point a gun at an assailant. But this question is easy, man. Weapon-free school zone, or staff members are armed and trained. Any attempt to harm children will be met with deadly force. Now, I got to tell you, it's kind of like you really don't have to have the security system at your house. You just have to have the sign in front, the sign in the back, and the little stickers on your windows. That's what you truly need to do. You can protect your house by just doing this, by just putting this. You can protect your school, the sign on the right. Well, you know, we shouldn't have to do that. Well, we have to do that. We're in a place where now we must do that. So I don't know what to tell you. But that's what we should do. That's how we should go about the business. Just put these signs up everywhere. Period. I'm about ready to put a sign in front of my house. I have a gun. I'm trained. I'll shoot you if you come in unannounced. See, I don't want to ever shoot anybody. And I know people that watch and listen to this show certainly don't want to shoot anybody. All right? But I do know this. If guys, gals come into my house and they try to do anything with me or my family, I got no problem shooting them. And if that makes you mad, good for you. If that makes you sad, good for you. If that makes you dislike me, good for you. Don't care. Don't care. Otter Creek, I love the signs on people's doors that said if you come in, we're going to shoot you. I do too. I do too. Anthony O's says, I like it, Dan. As an elementary teacher, this works. Dan, players should not have the ability to get fans thrown out. Of course they shouldn't. No more than fans should have the ability to throw out a player. They shouldn't have the ability to throw a fan out. Screw these guys. All right. What's next? Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Wait, I can't hear volume. What is this? Is this a person? Oh, boy. Oh, boy. That's not a mask either, is it, Ryan Dillon? That's not a mask. That's a little plastic surgery. Holy cow. What in the hell? Look, I don't make fun of people's appearances because when you got all this going on, you got to be very careful. But I do got to tell you, that's just gross. That's just gross. Like, who in their right mind would say, hey, I think this is a really good idea. I think this is something that Mom and I got to believe we're going to get this done. We're going to go to the plastic surgeon. We're going to have a lip the size of I don't even know. Woo! What do you do when you're older? What do you do when you're older? What do you do when you're like, this is how I look? A lot of people think that's an alien. I don't know what the hell that is. But I know this, that might be the chew your arm off in the morning poster child. I did what? I got what? You slipped me what? I'm with it? What? I see the attempt at Elvira. Can we get that off the screen before I puke? Oh, my God. Oh, my God. All right. Couple of other things we got to get to. I love this. Deion Sanders has sent out a tweet, which apparently people are saying is aimed at Lamar Jackson. And it's basically this. Stop explaining yourself to fools. I need to live by that. I do. I absolutely need 100% to live by that. Stop explaining yourself to fools is something we can all and should all get behind. Nobody needs to explain themselves to Indy Hoosier 96 or Colts fan 107. Hey, don't. And when you are in a position that Lamar Jackson is, don't do it. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Hey, let's finish by talking about this guy, Jamal Bowman, and him yelling and screaming. You want to see the face of stupid today? Here comes the face of stupid. In the halls of Congress, this idiot, Jamal Bowman, decides he's going to scream, and Thomas Massey, for whatever the reason, decides he is going to confront him. Now, I'll let you guess which guy went to MIT. I'll let you guess. Let's roll a little tape. Maybe you don't have it. I don't know. I put you on the spot here. Apologies. Can we roll a little tape from earlier in the show?
Children at all. Cowards.
Look at this clown.
Force them to respond to the question, why the hell won't you do anything to save America's children? And let them explain that all the way up until Election Day of 2024. Let them explain it all the way up to Election Day on 2024. They're freaking cowards. They're gutless. They're not here. I'm talking about gun violence.
You know, there's never been
I'm talking about gun violence
in a school that allows teachers to carry.
Carry guns? You think more guns lead to more death? More guns lead to more death. Look at the data. You're not looking at any data. You're carrying the water for the gun lobby. Look at the data. More guns lead to more deaths. Guns, states that have open carry laws have more death. States that have open carry laws have more death. Are you listening to what I'm saying? Calm down, children are dying. 9-year-old children. Because the solution is not arming teachers. Have you ever worked in a school? 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 It's a yes or no question. Have you ever worked in a school? You will not answer my question. Don't stop and talk to me. Okay, I'll bring it down a notch.
All right, folks.
Have you ever worked in the school?
I've got a bill to repeal the federal.
I worked in the school for 20 years.
You're just screaming.
I was a teacher. I was screaming before you came and interrupted me. I worked in the school for 20 years. So I worked in the school 20 years.
In every school,
I was a teacher. I was a school counselor. I was a middle school principal. I was in cafeterias protecting kids every day of my career.
There's never been a shooting. Never been a shooting. It's time. Look, we've got guns here to protect us. And I believe the kids should have somebody to protect them. Every school that's allowed it has never had a shooting. Not even an accidental discharge at any of the schools. So. Yeah, absolutely. Next week, I'm reintroducing.
I always judge people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin. I'll let you guess which guy went to MIT in that. It's kind of like the Kendrick Perkins, J.J. Redick thing. One guy screaming like a complete idiot, and the other guy dumb enough to engage. But in Riddick's case, he wasn't dumb enough to engage. Kendrick Perkins, the big racist, just decided to go act an idiot. This guy, Jamal Bowman, decided to go act an idiot. One of the most important things you can do as a leader is listen. Listen to your constituents. Listen to your people. Listen around you. Listen. Don't yell, scream, and talk. This guy, Bowman, has done a god-awful job in his own district as kids of color are killing each other in his district, and he has been there long enough and has not done a damn thing. The truth of the matter is this. You got to listen. Yelling and screaming, using profanity in the halls doesn't do jack squat because now, frankly, nobody takes this guy Bowman seriously. He's not getting defended like he thought. Guys like Jason Whitlock are basically saying, so you think you solved the problem by acting like an idiot? It's not just me, people, but again, I go to this. I judge people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin, and I hope you do too. And because of the content that is obviously this guy's character, he is a screamer, a yeller, and he's a moron. Because that's what screamers and yellers do. They act like morons. They are morons, and away they go. All right. Breaking news, Shaman Jacob Chansley has been released a year early from prison after Tucker Carlson's January 6th footage proved he was wrongfully sentenced. It's starting to turn, people. I believe we are starting to get the, I'm starting to feel like we are coming out of the, what's the right word, the cancel culture malaise, the stupidity that we were in. And maybe, just maybe, we're starting to get real. That's why, once again, I love working here at OutKick. Go to OutKick.com, follow us, read us. You'll love it because it's honest. I don't have a dishonest bone in my body. If you got to say you don't have a dishonest bone in your body, then you have a lot of, yeah, whatever. And it makes people crazy. That's why I'm so proud to work here. It's what we all do. We just tell you the way it is. We don't judge people by skin color. We don't judge people by their political aisle, their political party. We judge them by what they do, what they say. In fact, I'm not even sure using the word judge. We just discussed. Tomorrow is Friday, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to have the entire Final Four broken down for you in ways that you've never seen before. Have a great, great afternoon. Thanks to Jim Layritz. Thanks to Danny Z. Thanks to our friend Dylan and Ryan and Davey and Haley and Caitlin and, of course, Aaron and Gary. Have a great afternoon, everybody.